Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Jones. I am an educational advisor in the International Student Center at Pasadena City College. We're really delighted that you're here with us tonight to do your new student group counseling for international students for fall 2021. Welcome. And tonight we're gonna go over what it is like to sign up for your classes and to get started as PCC students. Tonight I'm joined by two of my colleagues who are international academic counselors. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Amy Chung. I'm your academic counselor. I work closely with international students. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Sujin. Sujin Kim is my last name. Welcome everybody. Super excited to meet you all virtually. I am also one of the international counselors. I'll be doing the presentation today, so if you have any questions, you can ask them at the end or you can type it in the chat box.
Yeah, since we're recording, we would prefer that you ask your questions in the chat box. You could type it in and we'll try to answer them along the way. But if you prefer to stay towards the end and ask your questions, we will unmute you at that time and you get to ask your questions at that time as well. So you have two chances to ask your questions along the way by typing in the chat box, or wait till the end and you can ask your questions and we'll unmute you at that time.
Great. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Sujin, for introducing yourselves to our students. I'm sure they're all very excited to meet you. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between an international educational advisor and an international academic counselor. So an advisor versus a counselor. Now, a counselor like Sujin or Amy, they are experts in classes. So they will help you figure out which classes you need to take. They can help you with your educational plan. They will help you with any questions about transferring to a four-year university and how to get there and what the requirements are. And also they can help you with personal or emotional issues. Some light ones. They might refer to you to our personal counseling department, but you can always start with them because they specialize in working with international students. And so they will be able to help you get the help that you need. Now, an advisor like me, myself, or you might be familiar with my two colleagues who are advisors, Rosa Villegas or Kathy Chen. We are advisors that help you with your immigration information, your visa stuff, admissions, and we are here to help you until you graduate. So if you are in the alphabet A through J, your last name, you are with my colleague Rosa Villegas. If you are K through S, you are with me, Michael Jones. And if you are through T through Z for your last name, you're with my colleague Kathy Chen. And so if you have our emails and you have any questions, you can always just email us directly and we can point you in the right way. Even if it's an academic counseling question, we can point you towards the counselor. So we'll let you know. So we're a good place to start. But just so you know, if you have any questions about immigration, you can always ask me tonight or your advisor and email them. If you have any questions about classes or educational plans, you can always ask counselors like Sujin or Amy. But yeah, it's great. I will go ahead and kick it off. Go ahead, Sujin.
All right, thanks, Michael. Thanks, Amy. So again, welcome everybody. I will be starting the presentation. I hope that you can see my screen here. I'm sharing my screen. So this meeting is actually your group counseling for the upcoming fall semester. So today we will talk about your ESL English and math sequence. We'll also talk about your general education, your major classes, how to transfer, how to graduate from PCC, list of classes for your fall semester, and how to register for classes. Okay. So, important requirements for international students. If you are here in the United States under F1 visa, very important for you to take 12 units, at least 12, in the fall and spring semesters. For this upcoming fall, make sure you're taking at least one on-ground course. Okay, on-ground component is required. If you are taking classes overseas, so if you're our online overseas student, we recommend you to take about 6 to 9 units. That's about 2 to 3 classes, because you're living in a different time zone. It might be difficult for you to maintain that 12 units. But when you meet with a counselor, you can talk more about what would be a good number of units for you. We highly recommend you to take your ESL or English class in your first term, especially if you're coming from a non-English speaking country. Very important for you to have good English foundation before you move on to take your other academic courses here at PCC. If you're interested in joining the Pathways program, and you'll be receiving some emails about that program, you must take Counseling 10 or College 1 in your first year at PCC, and we'll talk more about that in our upcoming slide. If for any reason you need to go below 12 units while you're staying here and maintaining your F1 status, you must come talk to a counselor first. Okay, there are 3 scenarios that you could potentially go under 12 units. One is in your first term or first year, because you're not familiar with the language of English, the teaching methods of the United States, things like that. Yeah, and I know you can probably click on my screen, but if you can, I don't know how to stop students from clicking the screen, but if you can not click that, that would be great. Yeah, so that's the academic reduced course load, right, in your first term, or in your very last semester at PCC. If you're completing an associate degree, then you could possibly go below 12, or if you have some medical reason, physical or psychological medical reason to go below 12, then you may be approved for that. But again, it is not the student's decision. You first have to seek, counseling or advisors' help to be able to do that.
Hey, Sujin, really quick.
Yes.
Someone had a question. What is an on-ground course? Does it mean an in-person class?
Yes, the on-ground, it means the basic, the classroom that you can that you're most familiar with, right? You have the instructor, you go to class, there's a classroom, desk, chair. Yeah, so it is your in-person, face-to-face on-ground class, or it could be hybrid. As long as it has that on-ground component, as long as the class asks you to come on campus to meet the instructor in person, then that's the class that you want to have, at least one. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Thanks, Michael. Okay, so it's on ground versus online. We usually distinguish the classes by the 2 terms. All right, so this is our academic calendar. So a lot of you are starting from the fall semester. Our fall semester goes from August to December for 16 weeks. You have minimum 12 units. We recommend you take up to maybe 16 units, somewhere between 12 and 16. Similar for spring semester, it goes from January to May, 16 weeks, and we recommend 12 to 16 units. Starting year 2022, so next year, we're going to have 2 consecutive summer sessions. The first summer session is from May to June for 6 weeks. Second summer session is June to August, also for 6 weeks, and they're back to back. Summer sessions are not required for international students. These are optional. So if you want to travel, go back home, visit your family, you can do so. That's why we put you're required to take 0 units and up to 8 units. But summer sessions are really fast and short, so they're very intense. So try not to take too many classes in the summer. Many of you have already completed your online orientation, and I hope you were clicking through and reading all the information until you got to the placement link or placement tab. So under the placement, you are asked to self-place yourself into the English and math levels that's appropriate for you. Remember, these are not tests, so you're not solving any math problems or answering English questions. These are more like survey, but it's very important for you to answer very honestly and carefully so we can tell you what the most appropriate level of math and English classes are for you, okay? So that's under your orientation, online orientation. I hope a lot of you had already completed that. Moving on to English ESL course sequence. So depending on how you answer your question under the self-placement for ESL, we will give you a different ESL level that's most appropriate for your English skills. Let's say, for example, you were placed into ESL level 3, ESL 122. You must complete this class. After that, you complete ESL 33A. After that, 33B, and then you can move up to English 1A. English 1A is that English freshman composition course that you must complete to earn a degree from PCC and also to transfer to four-year school. After English 1A, you will be taking an additional English class if you are transferring to a four-year school. You can notice that some ESL levels have T in the corner. T stands for transfer. So as you can see here in the legend, ESL level 4, level 5, and English 1 are transferable courses. ESL levels 1 through 3 are not transferable and they don't count towards your associate degree. I also want to talk about the recommended support courses here at the bottom. These courses are recommended, not required. Okay, the ones in the boxes are required for you to move up the level. But the recommended courses, if you feel like you need more help in reading, speaking and listening, pronunciation, vocab, grammar, then you can definitely take these support courses along with your ESL classes.
Sujin,
Okay.
we forgot to let the students know
Yeah.
that Michael will be emailing you this PowerPoint after the session is over. So all of you will have access to this PowerPoint. So in case you're busy taking notes, you may not need to take notes because you have access to this. And also you may notice in the chat, Michael also put in all the links that we talked about. So if you want to cut and paste the link so that you could have those links, you could do that as well. So every time you come across a link, you'll see that in the chat box. Speaking of which, we have a question in the chat box that asks if a student has taken English, higher level English or higher level math in the US, do you still need to take the assessment? So the answer is no. You still have to do the online orientation. You just don't need to take the assessment. You would want to meet with us tomorrow, California time, between 9 to 12 o'clock to show us your transcript, and then we can talk more about placing you at a higher level, so you won't have to take the assessment for English and math. If you could show us that you've taken Calculus 2, and if your major required Calculus 3, then we will be able to place you into Calculus 3 based on the transcript that you show us. So try to meet with us anytime between 9 to 12 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. That's when we have time set aside for students who have additional questions that we cannot serve today or we cannot answer today, so that we have more time to spend with you for your specific questions.
Thank you for that, Amy. Alrighty. So speaking of math clearance, let's move on to math course sequence chart. Math sequence is a little more complicated than English, and that's because we have two different paths that you can take. The one here at the top is called the SLAM math path, and this is for students whose major is in statistics, liberal arts, or if your major is social science, health science, like nursing, then you're in the SLAM path, we highly suggest you to take statistics 50 if you're in this major. But of course, you have other options. When you meet with counselors, we can guide you a little better in terms of what math class you could choose for your major. Below here is STEM path. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. Also, if you are a business or economics major that want to transfer to the UC system, then this is the path for you. Okay, and for the STEM path, depending on where you place yourself in the self-placement under the orientation, you can see the arrows here, you have to move up, right, to get to the class that you desire. So for instance, if you need to take Calculus 1, and if you're placed in Math 3, you need to complete Math 3 first, and then Math 8, and then you can hit that Calculus 1 class. And as you can see, most of these classes have that T sign, stands for transfer, but we have some support classes. For example, if you feel like Math 3, you're not ready to tackle that college level algebra, then you might want to consider taking it with the support class, Math 103. Or for statistics, you can take the support class, Math Stat 150. These courses, the dotted boxes, are not transferable. These are just support classes for 0.5 units. Okay. All right. Anything to add there, Amy, Michael? We good?
We're good.
All right, cool. So course numbering system. This is like one of my favorite things about PCC. It's so easy to determine which courses are transferable and which courses are not transferable. So transferable means that you can take these classes, take these credit to four-year universities. So if you see a course that's numbered between 1 and 99, these courses are transferable to UC and CSU system. Some classes are only transferable to CSU, not UC, and we'll show you how to check that for your transfer courses. For example, ESL 33A, 33 is between 1 and 99, so this course is transferable to UC and CSU. However, the courses that are 100 and above, these are non-transferable courses. For example, ESL 122, like we looked at earlier, is not transferable to four-year universities. Alrighty. When you are looking for classes to take, you might come across these terminologies, prerequisite or co-requisite. When you see the word prerequisite, it actually means that you have to meet a certain requirement before you can register or enroll in a class that you desire. So for example, if you want to take Chemistry 1B, you must first take Chemistry 1A. Okay, so Chem 1A is the prerequisite of Chem 1B. Please be mindful, not all courses with the letter A, B, and C have prerequisites, okay? Mostly our math classes, science classes, English classes, sometimes child development or psychology classes have these prerequisite courses, but don't assume because you see a letter like Cinema 7B, don't assume that it has a prerequisite of Cinema 7A, okay? It really depends. Co-requisite means that you have to take two courses at the same time in the same semester. For example, Architecture 10A has a core requisite of Architecture 12A. And then Architecture 12A, of course, has a core requisite of Architecture 10A. So these are classes that you must take together, and you need to register for both of these courses at the same time. Okay, you cannot have one and then add another class later. You have to add them simultaneously at the same time. All right, what can you accomplish at PCC? So there are many paths that you can take. Let's go over some of these goals, educational goals. If you are interested in transferring to UC, Cal State, or private university, a lot of our international students transfer to UC schools or CSU or private schools. We have 10 UC schools here in California, and 9 of them you can transfer to. We have 23 CSU schools, and we have many, many private universities. I'm pretty sure you've heard of like UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Irvine. These are the UC schools. CSUs, you've probably heard of CSU LA, CSU Northridge, CSU Long Beach, Cal Poly Pomona. These are all Cal State schools. And USC actually is here in downtown LA. This school is not a public school, it's a private university. Art Center is a great, art school that's really close to PCC. But some students, they transfer to out of state schools. Some even transfer to like, schools outside of the United States. So it really depends on your goal and, the schools that you're interested in, and you can transfer to those schools. We also offer associate degrees. So associate degree is a college degree, but not a bachelor degree, right? Bachelor's is 4-year degree. Associate degree is a 2-year degree. So at PCC, we have AA degree and AS degrees. These are actually more broad and general degrees. A lot of our students earn these degrees while they are preparing to transfer, like AA in business or AS in natural sciences. We also offer CTE associate degrees. CTE degrees, it's actually, you're combining a career-driven certificate with your general education courses to earn an associate degree. For example, we have associate degree in nursing, we have associate degree in fashion design, in graphic design. So these are more career-driven associate degrees that are combined with a certificate program. And then if you want to, you can actually transfer and earn associate degree at the same time. So we're going to talk about, how many units and what classes you need in a little bit. But actually to transfer, you need 60 units to UC and Cal States. Associate degrees also require 60. So oftentimes you're just trying to transfer, meet the requirement, and then you end up qualifying for associate degree as well. So a lot of our students, again, for example, earn associate degree in social behavioral science and transfer as a psychology major. And then we have this special transfer associate degree called ADTs, stands for Associate Degree in Transfer. ADTs, we have 2 different ADTs. One is AAT, and then one is AST. So these degrees actually are designed for students who are interested in transferring to our CSU system. Okay, so a lot of the students who want to transfer to CSU, for example, for business, they can complete an associate degree in transfer in business administration and also apply and transfer to CSU schools. Okay, and when you meet with a counselor one-on-one, we will go over the options that are available for you, so you can, go with any one of these, any combination of these educational goals.
Sujin, let me also take this opportunity to let the students know that in addition to being a specialist with international students, I also work with health science students. So if you're interested in majors such as nursing, or if you want to become a doctor, dentist, pharmacist, dental hygienist, anything that's related to the medical field, I'm the specialist for those majors as well. So just note that, so in the future you could ask me those questions if you happen to have one of those majors that's health science related.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, you're really lucky if you're an international student in health and science major, because Amy
PCC,
is.
Nursing is one of the most popular majors at PCC.
Yes, it is. All righty. So remember I talked about that you need 60 units, right, to transfer to UC or CSU system and also to graduate from PCC. So 60 is that magic number right? 60. But just be mindful that a lot of the private schools, they only ask for maybe 30 units, sometimes like even less than 30, for you to be able to meet the transfer requirement. So if you're seeking for private school transfer, you may be able to transfer a little bit earlier. But for UC-CSU, you must have, 60 units, transferable units to be able to transfer. And as you can see here in the pie chart, the 60 units, it consists of your general education requirements, and then your major requirements, of course. And if the general education and the major requirements, if they don't add up to 60, then we ask you to take some elective courses, fun, courses that are not really necessarily related to your major. You could take like yoga or, swimming or guitar or piano, something like that. But I actually want to go over the major requirement and the general education with you. Let's first start with the major requirement. If you visit this website, and we'll take a look at it in a little bit, assist.org, this website actually is created for California public school system like UC-CSU. If you go to PCC transfer tool on our PCC website, you could also see some major requirements that are listed for your major, okay, for various different schools, including the private schools. But let's first take a look at assist.org. Just going to switch my screen here, go to assist. So this website, assist.org, you get to search the institution. So for example, you're attending PCC, so you search for PCC, and then you type in the school that you want to transfer to. I'm going to use UCLA because it's a popular school to use as an example. You click view agreements, and then you get to, and make sure that the drop-down menu is under major. You can search for your transfer major. If you search a major, if it doesn't pop up, very likely that the school doesn't offer that major. So, please make sure that you're searching for a major that appears on this website. For example, business economics, very popular major at UCLA. You click view agreement and you're going to get to this PDF file, this little pop-up. You can see that on the right-hand side are your PCC courses. If you want to go from PCC to UCLA, right? So the UCLA classes are on the left, PCC courses on the right. You're going to read these important information on your own. Very important to read all the important messages up here. But for our purposes, let's look at the courses here at the bottom. So again, you can see the arrow. So the courses on the right-hand side are PCC courses that you take, like Econ 1A, 1B, Accounting 1A, 1B, Math 5A, 5B. And then after you take English 1A, you're going to take one of these English courses to meet the UCLA transfer requirement. Okay, and these courses, when you transfer to UCLA, they'll count as these courses here on the left-hand side at that school. Okay. So if you have multiple schools that you want to transfer to, go to assist, look up all those schools, all the majors, look at all the courses that you must complete, and then you plan out the courses accordingly. And of course, counselors can help you to create a plan with you. So that's your major requirement. What about your general education requirement? We have many, many options, different general education patterns that you can choose from. IGETC is actually the one that we highly recommend because IGETC works for UC, CSU, works for associate degree. Sometimes it's accepted by some private schools as well. So IGETC, we highly recommend you to start with IGETC. But you could also look into CSU GE if you know for sure that you're only transferring to the CSU system. You can use this GE pattern. USC, the private school that we talked about, they have their own GE pattern. So if you know for sure you're only transferring to USC, or if you want to look at both USC GE and IGETC, because you want to go to UC and USC, you can do that. Other colleges may have their own GE pattern as well. But for today's purposes, let's take a look at the IGETC. It's the most common useful GE pattern. And I think Michael can share this link with you, but all I do, to be honest with you, I just go to Google and I start typing in PCC iGETC. And then there it is, the PDF file. Okay, so this is iGETC. I'm just going to go through the areas so we can look at it together. Area 1 is your English communication area. 1A, English composition, so you must complete that English 1A. After that, you complete your critical thinking. Any one of these classes would fulfill that. 1C, oral communication, is only for those who want to transfer to CSU school. If you're not interested in CSU, if you're only interested in UC, no need to complete this area. Area 2 is math. You need just one class from this list. But of course, if you're a math major, STEM major, engineering major, you're going to take many, many more math classes. Area 3 is your arts and humanities area. You need 3 courses in this area, 1 from the arts, 1 from the humanities. Third course can come from either arts or humanities. Okay, so total of 3. Please be mindful, you're going to see some language courses here, like Japanese, Italian, Russian, things like that. If these are cultural or history courses taught in English, you can take them. But for example, if your native language is Chinese, do not take the Chinese language course that's taught in Chinese, because the transfer school, it's very likely that they will not give you credit for that class because you're a native speaker. If you went to high school in that country, don't take that language class. But you can take a different language class, of course. Okay, just FYI. Area 4 is your social behavioral sciences. You are to take 3 courses from this area. Make sure you're hitting at least 2 subjects. So you cannot take all 3 history classes. Don't take all 3 political science classes. Make sure you're mixing and matching, you're hitting at least 2 subjects. Area 5 is your physical and biological sciences area. So you only need 2 classes, 1 from physical science, 1 from biological science. But you see this area 5C. All it's saying is make sure that you take a science lab course that's indicated by the underline. Okay, so for example, if you're taking Geography 1 from Area 5A, this class doesn't have an underline. So then make sure you're taking a class with an underline here under biological sciences like Bio 11. Some classes are paired with lab. So if you take Anthropology 1, you can take it by itself, no lab. Or if you want to, you can pair it with a 1-unit lab course, okay, Anthropology lab. And this class will also fulfill the 5C requirement. Last but not least, Area 6 is for UC requirement only. So if you're not interested in UC, you don't have to worry about this area. This area is actually, it's asking if you're proficient in a language other than English. So if you went to a high school or middle school, like if you went to school between grades 6 and 12 at a different at a school that was taught in a different language other than English, then very likely that you will meet this area automatically. So when you meet with a counselor, make sure that you ask, right, if your high school or if your middle school will meet this area. If you just went to US high school, and if you have 2 or more years of foreign language, you can also meet this area, or sometimes AP scores, things like that. So there's many ways that you can meet this area without taking these classes here listed. This area down here, it's only for CSU again. This area is not required for you to complete the iGETC, but if you take a US history course, one of these, and a political science course, then you can meet the CSU graduation requirement. So if you don't take these classes, no problem. You can go to CSU and actually take the classes there. But if you want to, you can take these classes. All right, so that was iGETSI. That was a lot of me talking. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, if you can go back to area 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you who attended middle school or high school from 6th grade or higher in a different country, as Sujin said, you already are proficient in a different language, but we do need for you to show proof. The way you show proof is by submitting your middle school or high school transcript to the PCC Admissions and Records Office in L113 when we come back on campus. Or you can just email it to transcripts@pasadena.edu. I was actually just typing it in the chat, and I'm going to tell you that, and then I am also finishing up in the chat so that you could use the link and the information so that you could prove that you're speaking that your proficiency in another language. So it's not automatic. We won't give you a test, but you have to show proof of that. It's not urgent. It's not something you have to submit in the first semester. You basically have 2 years to submit that in order for us to do the iGETSI certification later on. Okay, so just want to remind you, if you remember this and you have the information, just go ahead and take care of it now, so you don't have to worry about it 2 years later.
And one thing I do want to mention off of that too is, remember, you did have to submit your transcripts to the International Student Center to be admitted. But unfortunately, right now, we're not linked up with the Admissions and Records Office. So you might think, oh, good, I'm covered. I already sent PCC my transcripts when I applied. But unfortunately, we're not connected. So like Amy said, they need to go to Admissions and Records. So you will need to send them one more time to Admissions and Records. So don't get confused about that. I have some students who in July realize they haven't sent them, and then they freak out. This is July, they're transferring in September, before they're transferring in September. So yes, it's not urgent now. Maybe do it in like 6 months so you can forget about it, but don't wait until the very, very end. So, but yeah, just the trick to know is that you want to send them to Admissions and Records, not the International Student Center. Yes.
Okay, the instructions, we just type it again in the chat box, so you'll remember that.
Thank you for that, Amy. All right, but if you're watching the recording, meet with a counselor and we'll give you all the information because you probably won't have access to the chat. All righty. Okay, yeah, so that was basically the iGETSI, the assist, but the idea behind completing your iGETSI is so that when you transfer, you don't take any more lower division GE at that school. So, you know, an iGETSI is sometimes like not required for you to transfer, to be honest with you, but there is a perk, right? If you do complete it, you don't have to take any more lower division GE at the UC or the Cal State universities. All right, so I'm going to share a video with you. I originally prepared to do this part of the presentation, but I'm going to stop talking because I've been talking too much, and I'll let the video talk for about 5 minutes. So I think I shared my sound with you, but if you don't hear anything, please type it in the chat, and Amy, if you could remind me, or Michael.
To get started, head over to your Lancer Point homepage.
Is that the loudest?
Click on My Classes in Academics on the navigation list, then select Schedule of Classes. On this page, you'll be able to select which term you want to view classes for. Make sure you're looking at the most current year and term. Classes can be found by selecting various criteria, such as subject, instructor, and meet times. For this demonstration, we're going to look for math classes that meet during the week. Click on the search button to get started. The results on the next page can be a little overwhelming, so we'll break it down for you. The first thing we'll see for each course is the title, followed by the course prerequisites, if any are required. Prerequisites are courses that need to be completed before a student may enroll in this course. A brief course description appears next, concluding with total hours of lecture.
Sorry about that.
It's followed by transfer credit status, which indicates whether UC or Cal State schools will give credit for completing this course. The course grade mode indicates what type of grading system is used for credit courses. In many courses, you will receive a letter grade, but there may be an option for a course audit or a pass, no pass grade. The status box indicates whether the course is open, closed, or waitlisted. Students who enroll in a waitlisted course will receive an add code via email if a space becomes available in that class. The boxes for type and meet indicate what type of instruction this class uses. This may be an online course, an in-person lecture class, a lab, or some other form of instruction with an online component. Click on either type or meet, and a window will pop up with a list of schedule type codes and descriptions. The course reference number, or CRN, is the number you will use to add the course as you create your schedule. Make a note of this number exactly as it appears. Click on CRN to find important deadlines for the class, like the last day to drop without a W or to get reimbursed for financial aid. The unit box indicates how many hours of instruction the course meets for weekly. Those with higher unit numbers will generally be larger course loads that require more hours of study time. The meeting time indicates when instruction is held. Confirm that the days and times match your availability before adding each course. If you miss too many class meetings, your instructor may drop you from the class for non-attendance. Some courses do not have a meeting time listed. Instead, you'll see an estimated weekly workload to help you plan your time accordingly. This is an asynchronous course, which we'll talk more about in a few moments. The location box tells you where the class will meet. You might see a building and room number for classes that meet in person on PCC's main campus or one of PCC's satellite campuses, but most classes at this time are being held online. If the location says online Zoom, this is a course that we refer to as synchronous, which means the instructor will conduct this class at the time listed and students will meet virtually together on Zoom. If the location simply says online, then there is no designated meeting time. We refer to this as asynchronous. If you enroll in an asynchronous course, you'll get more information about accessing lecture recordings and other materials when you get started. Generally, you can still interact with instructors and classmates on Canvas, but this course will not have mandatory meeting times that conflict with other classes. The next three boxes are labeled CAP, ACT, and REM. The first indicates the course capacity, or how many students can enroll in the course. The second shows you how many positions are already filled, and the last one shows you how many seats are remaining. The instructor section shows you who will be teaching this course. The date box indicates what date the course starts and ends, and the weeks box indicates the course duration. Many courses run 16 weeks during the main semester, but there are 8-week courses referred to as first session and second session, and there are other variations as well, so be sure to check this box to confirm the course duration. One last thing, don't forget to check the footnotes for additional information. The footnotes might list restrictions, like courses that are specific to certain programs. Some math or statistics courses may list a support component in the footnotes as well. When enrolling in these courses, make sure you match the CRN of the course with the corresponding CRN of the support component as it appears in the schedule of classes. You are now ready to add courses using the CRNs that you've selected.
Okay, so that's the video. You could actually watch this video over and over again if you wanted to. So if I go back, I'm not going to play you again, but here's that YouTube link here at the bottom. So you can access this video directly by clicking the link, or you could go to Google and search this video. If you just type in PCC YouTube schedule of classes, it's actually the more recent one. It was just updated 4 days ago. So make sure that you select the recent schedule of classes video to access this video again. All right, so Remember earlier, I told you that if you want to join Pathways program, you must enroll in Counseling 10 or College 1. It really depends on your ESL or English level. If you are ESL level 1, 2, or 3, then please enroll in Counseling 10 for 1 unit. If you're ESL level 4, 5, or English 1A, go ahead and enroll in College 1 course. And make sure that you take these classes or one of these classes in your first year at PCC. All right. So us counselors, international counselors, are available to meet with you so we can help you develop your educational plans. Back in our campus when we used to meet on campus, we're located either in D204, that's our International Student Center, or L104, that's our counseling department. So you can find us in either of these locations. But right now, we are meeting with students virtually, so you can use this website, the bit.ly PCC International Counseling website, to be able to meet with one of the international counselors. But this is a typical educational plan or classes that we put together for our students. So for example, in the fall, you start with your ESL or English level. You start with your math course, depending on your major. Your math course will look different. And then you take your College 1, and then you take your GE or your major class. It's very important for you to mix and balance your classes wisely. If you take all major classes or all GE classes, that's kind of off balance, right? So it's make sure that you mix and match your classes and take your classes wisely. Same thing in spring, your next ESL or English class, math if needed, GE major, and we have 2 consecutive summer terms, very short, only 6 weeks. So we don't recommend you to take more than 2 classes. Or you can take none. If you don't want to take summer, that's fine. All right, first week survival tips. So starting fall semester, now we're planning on offering about 50% on ground, 50% online, right? So if you are planning to take the on-ground classes and if you're planning on driving to campus, make sure that you get to campus early. In the first week of the semester, we have a lot of students come in because they want to come to school early, they want to make sure that they're finding their classroom, things like that. So we usually have a rush of students in our first week of semester. So if you're again planning on parking your car, driving to campus, come early. I would say maybe an hour, 2 hours before your classes begin, so you'll be able to find your parking and you'll be able to find your classroom. Books. So make sure that you buy your books before the first day of class. Very important. On your first day, you go to class, you might already have a reading assignment or homework that you need to complete, right? So make sure you get those books before you go to class. You can purchase books online on our bookstore website, or you could actually go to half.com, eBay, Amazon, or check.com to purchase your books at a cheaper price. So you can check out those websites as well. Waitlist policy. So like in the video, we told you that the class can be open, the class can be closed, or the class can be open for waitlist students. So if you waitlist for a specific class, if there is a seat that becomes available for you, we will send you an automatic email asking you to come to log into LancerPoint so you can claim that seat, right? Let's say you're the first one on the wait list, someone drops, it's your turn. You only get 48 hours to respond back to the email and then claim your spot. After the 48-hour window, the seat goes to the next person on the wait list. So very important if you're utilizing this function to always, go on your email to check your email every day. Waitlist is actually official list that your instructor will obtain as well. So when your name is on this official list, on the first day of class, you will get priority, right, in terms of getting that add code in comparison to other students who are just crashing or trying to add the course on that day. So waitlist is a good idea if you really want to take this one particular class or with this professor that you want. You could also crash the course. Crashing means that you're not enrolled at the class at the moment, you're not waitlisted, but you just want to add this class by using the add code. You could actually look up the professor's email from the PCC directory. You can email them and ask for an add code, see if you can crash the course. If the instructor says yes, they will send you an add code. Unfortunately, if they say no, you won't be able to add this class. When we go back on campus and when you go to your classes, make sure you don't turn on your cell phones, no texting, right? Even if you're using it just to look up, you know, a vocabulary or you're using a calculator, make sure you ask for permission, okay, before you use your cell phone in the class. It could be, you know, very disruptive in the classroom. So that's something that you have to be mindful of. All right. Anything you want to add, Amy? We good?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Amy. Sorry.
Oh,
So
okay.
hopefully you don't have to crash any classes and you don't have to be on the wait list because you are international students. That means you are the VIP, very important people, and you have priority registration. So you get to register before other students. So take full advantage of your privilege that you have earlier registration date. And so you get to choose the classes that you like with the professors that you like at the time that you like. Out of the 4 classes, most likely you'll be taking 12 units or more. Only one of them has to be on campus. So you could take some online courses, but if you prefer to come on campus, you have that option to choose on campus or online, as long as one of your courses have to be on campus. So most likely you don't need to crash a course and you don't need to be on the wait list. That's just better for you to make sure that by the first day of class, you have at least 12 units if you're in the US. If you're not in the US, you don't have to be in 12 units.
Michael?
Go ahead, Michael, you had
Yeah.
something more to
I was
add?
gonna share about add codes. So just know add codes are unique to each student and each class. So don't share them out with your friends. And then also if you have any trouble, some professors don't know that each add code is unique to students. So they will share the same add code for all the students. So if you have that error, you can go back and ask, did you give me a unique add code? And if they say yes, then we can troubleshoot why it's not working. And if that happens, you can come to me or your advisor and we should be able to help you. Additionally, another reason they might not work is that add codes only work after the first day of classes. Because the idea is that back in the day, crashing the course, you would go in person, but you can only go in person after the class starts. You know, you have to go once it begins. So you can't use the code until after the first day of class. And then the last thing to know is Amy mentioned about online classes. Just note that you might have a check-in assignment that you have to complete within a little short period of time. So the professor knows that you're actually in the class, you're committed to the class. You have to complete that assignment for them to not drop you from the course. Dropping means they will remove you from the class. And you want to make sure you don't fall below your units because remember what Sujin said, it's important to have 12 units. So make sure you keep an eye on those check-in assignments. They're really key, and that's actually where we see a lot of our students losing classes and then scrambling. Oh, sorry.
That brings us right into this slide. So important note, and we're emphasizing making sure that you have this information. So for our online classes, traditionally, right, because of the pandemic, we've been offering online courses, and the instructors wanted to know how, because for students, before COVID, all they had to do is just show up to the class, right? Show up to class, first day of class, don't be late, then you won't get dropped, right? The presence, you being there on time was the key. Online, flexible classes, there's no way for instructors to tell, right, if you're present or not. So then we came up with this idea of check-in assignment. That's exactly what Michael had just talked about. So for your online classes, you're going to have class access through Canvas, okay? Typically, instructors don't publish their course until maybe 1 day or 2 days before the semester starts, or sometimes on the day of the beginning of the semester. So make sure you go to Canvas on your first day of class, and then they're going to ask you to complete this check-in assignment. Again, normally do only within like the first couple of days of class. If you don't complete this assignment, very likely that the professor will drop you. They'll think that you're not interested in the class anymore. Then you will fall right out of status because you will go below 12 units. So again, very, very important. Like the video, right? We talked about online Zoom classes. If you see that your class is online Zoom, then the instructor will expect you to attend the scheduled class sessions as indicated on the course schedule, right? Schedule of classes. So make sure that you are available to attend the Zoom meeting if you're taking the online Zoom class. Some classes, if you see just online, right, then there will be no live online meetings, right? If there are meetings, then those meetings will be optional because you've specifically chosen a class that has no online meetings on Zoom. Some instructors may require you to use a webcam during your class session or exams. This is something that you must check with your professor. Every professor does this differently. Okay, so best person to ask is your professor, whether or not they require webcam, whether or not, they have special, things that you have to know about the class. So don't forget, check your PCC email and Canvas inbox very often. This is how your professors and how counselors and advisors will communicate with you. We will not be communicating with you on your personal email. So please make sure that you check your PCC email as often as possible.
Sujin, can we show them how to access Canvas?
Sure. Yes. Okay, so this is our main website, pasadena.edu, under login, Canvas. Okay, you click that and I think I'm automatically connected, but yeah, you'll be asked to type in your username and password, exactly same as your Lancer Point login and password. And while we're at it, if you click on the search button right here, magnifying glass, you can search the website, but you can also search the directory. So if your professor's name is, for example, Sujin Kim, that's my name, then you search their name and you search directory, not the site, okay, to be able to access their email. Oh, bless you, someone sneezed. Okay, so that's the email, and you can check your professor's name on your schedule of classes, right? Where it says open, closed, when you meet, and then there's that name of your professor, okay? That's how you search for it. All right, schedule of classes and registration. Okay, so we talked about this already a little bit, but on your first semester, we highly recommend you to take your English or ESL, depending on your level, right? After you complete your orientation, you're gonna get that the appropriate level for your English. And then go ahead and take your math course. Math 3 is recommended for STEM majors like engineering majors, math majors, science majors, or again, if you're a business or econ major transferring to UC or USC, you can actually take business 14A if you wanted to, but for UC schools, math 3, right? But if you were placed into math 5A, then you can take math 5A, okay? So depending on your math placement. Or you can take statistics 50, this is a good class for liberal art majors, like English major, art major, fashion major, music major. Health sciences major, like nursing or other health sciences, or social sciences majors, like psychology, political science, sociology, administration of justice. Or if you're a business major transferring to Cal State schools, you could actually start with Statistics 50. Okay, so that's our math recommendation. Again, if you want to join Pathways, and that's their website, pasadena.edu/pathways. If you're interested in this program, you can join College One. Okay, this is an actually really great class if you're starting your college for the first time here in the US, very beneficial. And we also ask you to take one GE class, and we have listed good GE classes for international students. These are not too difficult, great classes for your first semester. So if you want to take a snapshot, you could do that. But I mean, you're going to get a copy of this presentation anyways. Okay, so that should be good, like 12, 13, 14 units. Very, very appropriate for your first term. This is like a sample schedule. And as you can see, you can have mixture of online Zoom, or on ground, right? On campus, in-person class. In-person locations are usually indicated with the letter and the 3-digit number. And then just make sure for your online Zoom, you show up, right? Available on Zoom online. You have to be present on Zoom. And then for your in-person class, you must be present on campus, right, to take this class. So that was just an example. And then I have another video, how to add courses using your CRN number. So let me just stop my video and then click play, volume to max.
How to add courses using CRNs. Once you've selected the courses you want, you will add them using the course reference numbers, or CRNs. Start from the Lancer Point homepage. Click on My Classes in Academics, then click on Add/Drop Classes. Select the registration term on the next page, then click on Submit. You may be prompted to complete the pre-registration survey for this term if you have not done so already. Click on the link to complete the survey. Once you've completed the survey, click on Submit. On the next page, enter your selected CRNs into the boxes at the bottom of the screen. Be sure to add them exactly as they appear in the schedule of classes. Once you've added all CRNs, click on Submit Changes. If there are no holds or other validation issues, this will add the course to your schedule. Return to the My Classes in Academics page and select View/Print My Class Schedule to confirm you successfully added the courses you want.
All right, so that was a short one. That's how you use your CRN number, right? And then you can add all those CRNs at the same time so you can register for all of your classes when it's time for you to register, okay? And let me actually also show you where you can go check your registration date and time. I don't think I have a slide for that. So I don't know if it'll work on My Lancer, but this is My Lancer point. You log in, right? And then you go to My Classes in Academics. This is where you can find your registration date and time. Okay, so like Amy talked about, international students at PCC, you get to register earlier than our regular students. So when you check this menu, select fall. I don't know if mine will show. Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is where you can actually check to see, I didn't enroll for this term, but for you, you should be able to check when you can start registering for your classes for fall. Okay, it'll give you the date and the time. Alrighty, so what are your next steps? If you have not done it yet, please go to orientation.pasadena.edu. If you don't complete your orientation, you're not going to get those priority registrations. So make sure you complete your orientation. Under your orientation, make sure, again, you answer those questions right to place yourself into your English and your math levels. And you're going to be asked to join International Student Welcome Canvas Shell. So if you fall under our population that have to complete this page, then separate link will be sent to your emails and you will be invited to join the Canvas Shell to complete the International Student Welcome. If you want to join Pathways, please attend JAM and take 12 units in your upcoming fall semester. JAM is a 3-day online orientation. It's an extended orientation. It's going to be, again, online on Zoom, and you'll be learning all about, PCC. You'll be meeting other people who are starting PCC who have similar major as you are in the similar interest group. Michael, do you have link to access JAM for students?
You just put it in the
Yes.
chat.
I
Great.
added it to the chat. And also one thing to note about International Student Welcome is that I will not open up until July, I believe, July 23rd. And in order to participate, you need at least one class because it's in Canvas. Remember, Amy and Sujin showed us Canvas earlier. The way the course is set up, you have to be registered for one class. If you don't have any classes, you're not going to get the International Student Welcome link. And I cannot add you until you have a class. So if you are wondering, it's July 23rd. I don't have the link yet. Think, have you signed up for classes? No. If you haven't, go sign up for a class and then I can add you.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. Alrighty. Make sure you pay for your classes no later than payment deadlines. For summer classes, if you're taking summer, please pay for your summer classes before Wednesday, June 16th. If not, your classes will get dropped, okay, and you will lose your place, right, for your classes. For fall, make sure you pay before August 18th. Okay, that's also on a Wednesday. So yeah, remember, pay for your classes. If not, you will get dropped. Someone might ask, what happens if you add classes after the payment deadlines? You could add more classes after the payment deadline. Then we highly recommend you to pay for your classes on the same day or as early as possible, because we don't want your classes, right, to be dropped from your schedule. But yeah, please make sure that you pay for your classes, and you'll be fine. For your books, again, you could go to PCC Online Bookstore to identify which books are required for your classes. You don't have to purchase your books through PCC. You could always purchase them online. You can rent it online as well for a cheaper price. For your parking permit, once our campus opens, you can purchase them in the B building. That's our bookstore building. Second floor is our police services. That's where you can purchase your parking permit, or you can buy them online via Lancer Point. And I really don't know if this will change in the future when we reopen in the fall. But for now, when we reopen, the campus, if things stay the same, then PCC ID cards, we used to issue them in the CC building, the first floor of the CC building. So please make note of that, to go to CC building to get your PCC ID. If any of these information is different, then, hopefully we'll email you and update you with the new information. But for now, I'm hoping that it'll stay same as before. All right, so that's it for my presentation. We have registration help drop-in tomorrow Pacific time from 9 a.m. to 12. So if you go to tinyurl.com/ISC drop-in, you can join our Zoom, and counselors and advisors will be there to answer your questions. If you would rather book an appointment to meet with a counselor, you can again go to bit.ly/PCC International Counseling to book a 45-minute appointment to meet with an international counselor. Alrighty. Anything to add, Amy, Michael, or do we have any questions in the chat? I know you've been answering them probably. So keep those
We have a
questions coming,
question
guys.
from Khan. And Khan says, do we have to finish the online orientation by today?
Yeah, good question, Khan. I would say as soon as possible, because if you are part of Pathways, I believe your registration time is June 4th, was it, or 3rd? I forget, Michael, Amy, but your registration time is approaching really soon. So if you want to take advantage of your registration date and time, unless you have your online orientation done, you're not gonna have your priority registration. You're not gonna know what classes you're gonna get, right? Your English and your math classes. So make sure you complete them as soon as possible, preferably before your enrollment or registration time. But today will be better.
We have another question. I would like to change my major. What should I do and who should I meet?
Great question. So I'm guessing that maybe you're referring to your major on your I-20? Maybe. If that's the case, then yes, you must meet with one of us, international counselors. We will create an educational plan for you so you can submit to International Student Center, and they will help you to update your I-20 with a new major. Okay, so counseling, you need to meet with a counselor.
Yeah, and you would need to meet with the counselor first, and then to change the major on your I-20, if you've already gotten it, then you would need to submit a new I-20 request, which you can find on our website under current student forms. You would email that to either iso@pasadena.edu or directly to your advisor, depending on your last name. Then we would process it and change it on your I-20, and then your advisor will give you next steps on how to get your new I-20 with the new major. But if you already have your major or your I-20 with the old major, you should be able to use that SEVIS ID number. That's the one that starts with N00. You should be able to use that and pay the I-901 fee and use that to schedule your visa appointment. I recommend to do that as soon as possible. Visa appointments are really hard to book right now. And so if you have any questions about booking a visa appointment, email your advisor. Even if you want to update us that you got an appointment, please email us. We're trying to keep track of what it's like for our students around the world. So more communication is always great communication. Now we have another question, which I think is for me. And the question is, am I going to receive I-20 from email or from shipping? That's a great question. Now, it kind of depends where you are. I would recommend you reach out to your advisor and they can let you know. But you would need to, I mean, the way we have it set up right now is you would have to purchase a shipping label through our directions, and that's a sign to us that you want to come to the US for the fall, get your I-20. So unless you either email us or purchase the shipping label, we don't know. Now, if you are one of our students from Myanmar, please email your advisor. The student who asked this question, I believe your advisor is Kathy. Email them. We know that there is currently basically no shipping going in and out of Myanmar. So your only option is to get it emailed. So yeah. We have another question. The question is, there are classes related to marketing or business in GE courses.
Great question. So again, we have various different GE patterns that you can choose from, but typically marketing or business classes are not part of GE, but you're going to find economics under GE. You could also find business math under GE, but no marketing classes, probably not business classes either. So yeah, but it really depends on your major. If you're a business major, if you want to transfer, econ is probably something that you would have to take anyways. So when you meet with a counselor, you can talk about your goal and possibly if you can take some GE courses that's related to your major. I hope that answers your question.
We have another question. When is the registration date for people in the Pathways program? I believe this is probably specifically for fall, since the priority registration and the normal registration date has already passed for summer.
Yeah, my understanding was for Pathways, it's going to start, was it June 3rd or 4th?
I believe
most of them will get June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you register for JAM and give it a couple of hours or maybe the next day, if you go back to your Lancer point, check your registration date and time, you should see June 3rd. And I think it's like 10:30 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't join Pathways, when is their registration date, Michael?
June 7th, I believe.
Yes, June 7th. And then if you do not finish orientation, your placement tests, which are in orientation, and get an abbreviated ed plan, which everyone should get from Amy and Sujin, then I believe it's, what did I say? It is
Did you say June 15th?
June 15th. Yeah. So you get a good bump if you complete all these steps. And like Amy said, do not, we worked hard in the International Student Center and to really get you this priority registration. It's not something that all students at community colleges get. So take advantage of it because it's a special thing. So use that to get those classes that are hard to get.
And as international students, you get priority registration every semester until you finish. The Pathways, it's a little bit earlier even than international students. So that's why we recommend students to join Pathways. The date is a little bit earlier than even international students.
The question is, when should I register for classes?
If you join Pathways, June 3rd. If you don't join Pathways, but you've done online orientation and assessment, then it's June 7th. If you don't do anything, that is June 15th.
So
Another
a question. Oh, go ahead, Sujin. Do you want to read it?
Sure. So this is Maggie's question. I mistake apply for AS, how to change to AA. Oh, you mean for your major, Maggie, you asked for AS, but you want to change it to AA. So Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the same process. Meet with the counselor, get that ed plan, get your major updated by completing a form, submitting it to your advisor. Would that be the process, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, some of the majors, so I think there's like a business AA, and then there's a business administration AST. But for the purposes of your I-20, those both are the same. So it would, if you had that major, it would look the same on your I-20. So for some, it would be the same. For some, it might change. So like Sujin said, it's safe to let us know so we can always change it if we need to. If you ever make a change in your major, or if you ever, say if you're in the US right now, if you ever move, if you ever change your phone number, change your personal email, we have a change of information form on our website under current student forms. You can look at that, you can fill it out. And so let us know and we will update things. The major is the new I-20 request. It's a different form. But yeah, and then Amy, Sujin, I don't know if you wanted to talk about the difference between the AA or the AS. Depending on the major, I'm not sure if it makes a big difference. I'm not, like I said earlier to everyone, I'm not the expert on classes or on academic stuff. So you would want to ask Amy or Sujin about that.
Yeah, even though AS says associate in science, AA says associate in arts, really some of our majors, you know, can go under either AS or AA. Don't mind the AS or AA too much. If the major, if it says business or if it says, you know, engineering or science, if that is your major, the name of the major, if that aligns with what you want to study, I think, you know, that's safe to keep. But again, if you have doubts about that, if you're not too sure, then of course we can go over that with you more in detail. But I would have to say that it really depends on your major here at PCC and then your major for transfer if you're a transfer bound student.
We have another question in the chat from Khan. I'm still waiting for my honor program application. Should I join the pathways to take classes first, or should I wait for my honors decision? And maybe you can share a little bit more about the honors program if either of you know about it.
Yeah, the honors program is a great program if you want to challenge yourself. These courses are a little bit, I guess, harder than the regular classes. They usually ask for maybe one more project or one more assignment. So it is a little, the academic level is a little bit higher than the regular courses that we offer. So if you want to challenge yourself, you can definitely join the honor program and you can have, you know, honors counseling because we have counselors that's dedicated to the honors program, things like that. And if you want to join pathways while you're waiting for your decision, I think you're more than welcome to do that. I don't work for pathways, but I'm sure that you will benefit both from pathways and honors program. Both are great programs, so you can definitely join both. Yeah, highly recommend it.
I
I'm
just
not
put it in the
sure.
website if you want to learn more about how to join the honors program.
Thanks, Amy. I don't know if honors, if they have an earlier registration date than pathways. I'm not sure. But while you wait for your decision, why not join the pathways, do the jam, and, you know, get your earlier priority registration date, right? And go from there.
I don't believe the honors students get party registration
Priority.
according to the calendar that I have.
Oh, okay.
But the thing about honors program is that you get special classes that are restricted only to honors students. So you're not going to be fighting with people to get into those classes because those are just for you if you're in the honors program. Now, Sujin did say she didn't work for the Pathways program, and I also don't work for the Pathways program, but a lot of the colleagues that I'm very close with at PCC and we work very closely with are in the Pathways program. And I believe even if you're in the honors program, you will benefit highly from the Pathways program. So I think when in doubt, if you're like, I don't know if I want to do Pathways, like you're kind of like in the middle, like you could be good either way, just sign up. Like honestly, College One is a really good class. I know some of the professors are really amazing. And you get priority registration. And Jam is really great. The online Jam is really, really cool. I mean, of course, it's not as like it's not in person, but they did a really, really like it was quite innovative when I saw it last year. And so I'm sure it's still going to be quite innovative this year, and it's going to be really fun. If you have any problems attending Jam because you're, on the other side of the world, and that would be when you're supposed to sleep, email pathways@pasadena.edu and let them know, and they'll see if they can work something out for you. Does anyone have like one last question? We have time for about one more. You can either drop it in the chat or unmute yourself. Amy or Sujin, anything that you feel like is like important knowledge that they need to know before we let them go tonight? I feel like you covered most of it, but.
So we are accessible to you. So if you feel like, there are still questions that you want to ask us and you didn't have a chance to ask, or after you review the information, you still have additional questions, you are welcome to meet with us tomorrow, California time, so 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And if tomorrow doesn't work and you have additional questions that you want to make an appointment with us for 45 minutes, we can talk with you via Zoom. And so it's very common for us international students to meet with students online via Zoom, so that we could give you 45 minutes attention to talk about specifically what you are interested in and help you build a long-term education plan. So you have access to our link. We provided that for you. Michael, if you could put that link again, link on how to make an appointment with an international counselor. So that you can use that link at any time to book an appointment with us. And then we give you a Zoom link, and then you can go online and we get to meet you one-on-one.
And we had a question in the chat. How do I make an appointment right now? Because I can't find a date and time. Well, as someone who helps students make appointments, I can tell you how I will find appointments for students. Don't select a specific time window, select all available. And so Kathleen, you might already be doing that and you're like, wow, he's acting like I don't know how to do this. But some students select a specific time, and that's why you're not going to see any appointments because they're booked up already. Now, if you don't do that, another thing is you might want to check, like you could check daily, there might be cancellations, but the appointments are only released 2 weeks at a time. Now, Sujin or Amy, do you know if they release each new day every 2 weeks? So yeah, if you check daily, I believe, then you will see a new day opening 2 weeks later.
Correct.
So I would check tomorrow morning, Pacific Standard Time. So maybe around 8 a.m. LA time. And then you should see some appointments. I know it's 2 weeks out. So you maybe could come tomorrow to the drop-ins and ask the questions that you have, like maybe smaller questions, and then hold the bigger questions that might take 45 minutes for the 2 week out appointment. But yeah, so unfortunately right now it's like kind of a busy time of the year with our new students coming in and registration coming up this week. And then also on top of that, we have students who are trying to, finalize their transfer or do a few things at the end of the year, the next steps if they're finishing up at PCC. So our counselors are quite popular right now at this time of the year. A pro tip is that in the middle of the semesters is when people tend to not make appointments with the counselors. And so if you feel like you could wait for that complete education plan that you need to make, if you're fine with just the one semester for now, wait until the middle of, you could even do the middle of the summer or the middle of fall semester, and I'm sure there will be plenty of appointments open. And it's a really good trick because people just are like, I don't know, there's no appointments, but people forget in the middle of the semester. So yeah.
And there are 4 international counselors. and 3 advisors. So most of the time we are available. So yeah, Michael gave a very good tips. Middle of the semester is when we're not busy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
And another cool tip. I can't remember if Sujin said this, but 2 of our counselors, they speak Chinese, and so Mandarin Chinese, and then Amy, you speak Cantonese too, more fluently, right? And Vietnamese, some, right?
Yeah,
So
so Rosa Chen is an international counselor. She speaks very fluent Mandarin, Rosa Chen. I speak Mandarin and Cantonese and a little bit of Vietnamese. And then Sujin speaks Korean. And we have Yuki Roland. She speaks Japanese. So all of the international counselors speak some other languages. And Michael here speaks.
I speak some Mandarin. So, but yeah, so that just goes to show you, yeah, all of us speak another language. I speak some Mandarin. Rosa Villegas, she speaks Spanish. Also, our director, Olivia Liu, you might not expect it looking at her, but she grew up in Panama and she's fluent in Spanish. And also Kathy Chen, she speaks fluent Mandarin. And so all of us speak a different language. But yeah, that just goes to show you if you need help with the counselor and you need to make an appointment, and if it's maybe easier for you to speak in your native language, maybe choose your counselor accordingly, so you can get the help you need in your native language. But maybe if you want to practice your English, you can do that too.
Yuki Roland, her husband is American, but Yuki is Japanese. But when you look at our last name, you could probably tell what language we speak also. Kim is a very popular Korean last name. Chung is a very popular Cantonese last name.
Yeah, and just to make a comment about not being able to find appointments, I do want to apologize. Like, Michael and Amy said, right now it's our busy season. We're kind of booked up for this semester, but we're going to get more appointments in the summer. So, please don't give up. Check your appointment link. Yeah, every day
New
we update
appointments
it
are
every day.
released every day.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, anyone have any last burning questions? If not, we might wrap it up. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think if you have any final burning questions.
We can stop the recording.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us. And if you have any questions, you can always email us at iso@pasadena.edu. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody.